wish my words could just convince myself that it just wasn't real. But that's not the way it feels. No, 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 no. That's not the way it feels, operator. Na na na. That's got to be my favorite Jim Croce?
Jim Croce. Croce. Yeah, Croce.
Jim Croce song.
Operator?
Yeah, it's so sad. She's living in L.A. with my best old ex-friend, Ray. What's that song about?
I think it's about a guy who's calling the operator to get a number because he wants to talk to his ex-girlfriend who left him for his ex-best friend who was named Ray.
Oh, with my best old ex-friend, Ray. A guy that she said she knew once but almost hated. Kids, you're not going to remember Jim Croce. This is the story of Jim Croce. If you're over probably 60, you know who Jim Croce is because he had 1 million hits. If I could save time in a bottle, words could make wishes come true, I would save every day till eternity passes away. I would spend them with you, Michael Lyons. But you never seem to be enough time to do the things. But anyway, so Operator. It's just a heartbreak song, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. How does that go? He tries to call, and then he said, "Oh yeah." So the next line is, he asks the operator, and she gives him the number, and then he says, "Operator, can you help me place this call? I can't read the number that you just gave me. There's something in my eye, and it happens every time I think about the love that I thought would save me."
Oh man, that's some deep, sad poetry right there. Let me see if I can sing it. Operator, can you help me place this call? See, the number on the matchbook is old and faded. She's living in L.A. with my best old ex-friend, Ray. No, that's what was it? Something in my eye. You know, it happens every time I think about the love that I thought would save me. Any broken hearts out there tonight? Anybody out there got one-itis?
What's one-itis?
One-itis is when you have a broken heart and there's one person out there who you just can't get over. And you judge everybody else compared to that person. And you go, well, that person's not as pretty as whoever that broke your heart. You have one-itis, you're sick. And the cause of your love sickness is the same thing as the cure. It's that girl or that guy who's giving you one-itis. Don't have one-itis. Have you ever had one-itis?
I had one-itis for about 25 years.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you get over it?
When you have one-itis, you have to kind of pretend you believe like part of the story. My story with my one-itis was a girl named Natasha.
Oh, Natasha from the show?
No, different Natasha. But yeah, her name. Natasha from the BOOZHOO, NANABOOZHOO show. Natasha is NANABOOZHOO's girlfriend. But I dated a girl named Natasha. Amaya Jones, Hoka hey. BOOZHOO, Amaya, welcome to the show. Michael's just talking about past girlfriends, and I'm getting pretty jealous here. You have nothing to worry about. But I had one-itis for Natasha for so many years because it's not like I didn't know the whole story about our relationship, but I chose to just focus on the most beautiful, loving parts and exaggerate them in my memory. And I totally denied the parts. The thing about Natasha was that I broke up with her. And then I tried to get her back about a year later, and she had moved on. And so I went about never kind of getting over her, or in my mind, until about a year ago. In fact, some people might even know I wrote a song called Natasha. And in the middle of the song, the lyric is, I used to sit up at night just so I could watch ya, and I wrote on my bedroom wall, Michael loves Natasha. And oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, and it was literal. I had written on the wall with a Sharpie marker, Michael loves Natasha. And then she wrote underneath it, heart, Michael. So it kind of read, Michael loves Natasha, heart, Michael. And for 20 years, I talked about how much I loved her and how, she was just great and I couldn't get over her and I wasn't even interested in other women. Till about a year ago, I got real depressed about a lot of other stuff. And I finally admitted to myself, I just said it out loud and said, you know what? She never actually said, I love you back. She couldn't even get herself to write it in a moment where I did this little gesture. We had a short relationship that was very physical, and I was very attracted to her. And she liked me, but she was by no means in love with me. And that's why I broke up with her, back then when I was thinking clearly. But then I just kind of put on blinders. And I wanted to remember her as somebody who didn't not love me, but somebody who I rejected for no good reason, and that she was in love with me. But she wasn't in love with me. I pulled the trigger to leave a relationship where I wasn't loved. But, and it was sort of liberating to finally go, you know what? It's like getting over grief.
Really?
Yeah. When you finally quit pining after some ex, some broken heart or whatever, it's just like when you finally stop recognizing the anniversary of somebody who died. Oh, it's been 6 years since grandma died. On this day, she would have been 100 and whatever. You got to get over it. It serves nothing except perpetuating just kind of depressed mindset.
That's really true, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ms. Jones? Ms. Jones! What's that Counting Crow song?
Mr. Jones and me.
Is your dad Mr. Jones or is your husband Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones, stare into the future. We stare at the beautiful women. She's perfect for you, man. There's got to be somebody for me.
Hey, you're going to teach them the Ojibwe word of the day?
You know what? That's a great idea. Let's teach an Ojibwe phrase of the day. Oh, Amaya says that was a great story.
Oh, thanks. It's been kind of cool having a live stream. I always have you to talk to when we're not on live.
Yeah.
But this has become not therapeutic because I just get little comments. But it's nice to kind of tell my story like to friends. A live stream can sometimes be like inviting total strangers into your studio.
Yeah, no kidding.
and have a little coffee.
Have a little muckety mush kiki waboo. Oh, isn't that going to keep you up all night?
No, I hate it when people say that.
Yeah. Oh, I can't drink coffee after noon or I'll be up all night. I'd be like, what kind of coffee are they drinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's not meth.
Yeah. So anyway, you were saying something about something?
Yeah. What was that? Oh, inviting people in and talking, telling stories about your life, and I don't know. Maybe it's therapeutic to just speak out loud like this. You know, it's like kind of like keeping a journal.
Oh, yeah. All right, so Ojibwe phrase of the day. Michael, can you pull up the word?
Sure. Today's Ojibwe phrase of the day must be.
Oh, I like this. Wisani wigamig. Wisani wigamig. Eat house. Or like a restaurant. Everything in Ojibwe. If you want to go to like a well, like a lot of you Ojibwe speakers or Ojibwe adjacent speakers, whatever, Indian people know the word wigwam. Oh yeah, the wigwam. That was the old style house. And like anytime you see a movie with Indians in it, they're always living in teepees. We never lived in teepees, you guys. We lived in wigwams. Birch bark houses. You know, it wasn't like Ojibwe people were, okay, stop ricing and fishing. We're going to go hunt buffalo for, you know, what, here in the woods? No. We lived in like birch bark. In fact, isn't wigwam have something to do with birch bark?
Yeah, wigwas means birch bark. And since our houses were built out of birch bark, they called them wigwams. And now anything like a, what's another example of a house?
Like what's a library?
A library is a book house. So it'd be Mazina I Gun Wigamig. And a college is a Gabe Ikadon, whatever knowledge. I forget the word for knowledge. Wigamig. It's the full extent of knowledge house.
That's what they call college?
Yeah. You get all knowledge if you just go to college.
Oh, it even rhymes. Hey kids, here's an idea. Why don't you go in debt? I'm talking to non-Indian kids. Go into debt about 60, 80 grand to get the whole extent of knowledge. They're going to teach you everything there is to know about everything. It's the whole extent of knowledge. College. It's where you get knowledge. Because did you get a lot of knowledge when you were in college?
No, I got no knowledge. Well, no, I did. I learned a little bit about poetry. I read a lot of poems from a few people who died hundreds of years ago in England and Ireland. I memorized 100 lines of that poet whose name I forget right now.
You don't remember his name?
William Butler Yeats.
I like how you had to memorize 100 lines of poetry. Clearly you don't remember the poems anymore.
Oh, no, not a single line do I remember. But I had to recite it somehow by memory. It took me 3 days of memorizing his poems. A stupid assignment in this stupid poetry class. I learned a little bit about writing under a deadline because you had to write a lot of papers. But that was, I mean, I didn't learn anything. I was just challenged. Hey, Victoria King is here.
Oh, really? Natasha, Emily. BOOZHOO, Victoria.
So you know Natasha, right? Is Natasha on the song? I was going to play a song with Natasha and I singing it.
it gets a little weird because Natasha and I sound so much alike that, like, when I've been on camera with Natasha, I try not to talk.
Yeah. Usually when Natasha's on camera singing, don't you just play the piano?
Yeah, I'm usually just in the background playing piano. And she has such a beautiful voice.
Well, you have a beautiful voice too.
Oh, get out of here. Anyway, Wisani means to eat. Actually, that's an Ojibwe word a lot of people know too. Because everybody's grandma at some point goes, Wisanida, come and eat. Wisanida, let's eat. That's what it means. Let's eat. Wisanida, umbe. To anybody out there, grandmas say, umbe, wisanida. Come on, let's eat. And this has been your Ojibwe word/phrase of the day. And a little Ojibwe history, too, if you think about it. Yeah.
What else do we have here?
Bing, bing.
Oh, we got a call on line 2.
Oh, really? Put it on.
All right.
How'd they get our number?
I have no idea.
Caller. Welcome to BOOZHOO, NANABOOZHOO. Oh, can you get rid of the thing first?
Oh, sure. Let me get rid of the word of the day, and then I'll answer the phone. You're on the line, caller.
Hey, dude. Hey, Emily. It's me, Keanu Reeves. I just wanted to call and tell you I love to learn the Ojibwe word of the day. I wanted to introduce you to my girlfriend. Hey, girlfriend, say hello to Emily.
What's going on? Hello, Keanu Reeves and Keanu Reeves' girlfriend, Michael. It's Keanu Reeves.
Hey, Keanu Reeves, how you doing?
Hey there, dude. I'm doing all right. I was kind of gnarly, and then I met a girl I really love. Say hello to my girlfriend.
Hello, Michael. I'm just, late. I pooped my pants.
Oh, dude, I gotta go. I'm afraid I can't learn the Ojibwe word of the day. I'm gonna have to clean her up.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hey, great, you're doing a great job, Emily. I really love to watch your show.
Hey, the poop is right down my pants. I'm okay. Yeah, we'll call back again.
All right, later, dude and dudette.
Wow.
What was that?
That's Keanu Reeves and his girlfriend he's had for a couple of years now. She's an artist, and she's just a few years younger than him. So everyone comments on how old she is, and but apparently she's got some issues with her. I don't know what.
Yeah, poor lady.
Yeah. Anyway, Keanu Reeves, everybody.
Bling, bling. Oh, somebody else is on the line. You want to get that?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's on line 2.
Line 2, huh? Okay. Caller, welcome to the show. You're on BOOZHOO, NANABOOZHOO.
Hi everybody, it's me. It's the Pope.
Oh, hey there, Pope. Michael, it's the Pope.
Hi, the Pope.
Hi, I'm an Indian chief. They gave me a headdress, so now I'm an Indian chief.
You're not an Indian chief.
No, it's true. I went to Canada, and I said, hey guys, we're sorry. Sorry about the boarding schools.
What did you guys have to do with the boarding schools?
I don't know, I'm white. And I said, hey, I'm sorry. Sorry, Indians. So they gave me a special headdress and a blanket. And they said, you're an official member of our tribe. So I'm a real Indian chief. And now I can learn the Ojibwe language.
You don't have to be an Indian to learn Ojibwe.
Well, what's the Ojibwe word of the day?
Michael, you want to pull it up?
Yeah, sure.
Today's Ojibwe word of the day, Pope, was, there it is. Wisandi Wigamig, the eat house or a restaurant.
Recently, we got make eat house restaurant. I like to go to a restaurant and I get a hamburger and then I get some fries and a Pepsi. I like Pepsi.
Oh, really? I thought you just drank wine and ate bread.
No, silly. I do that. I do that during Mass. I do communion. And so I get to drink the wine and I get to eat some bread. But when I go to a recently Wigamig, an eat house, I like to have cheeseburgers.
Okay, great. Anything else we can do for you today, Pope?
Can I be on your show?
You are on our show.
Oh yeah, I guess I am. Nah, I guess I better go. Got a lot of Pope stuff to do.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for calling in, Pope.
Yeah, okay. Bless you, my child.
Yeah, okay.
Wow, the Pope.
What an honor.
Yeah. The Pope of Indian country, everybody.
What was with the headdress?
Oh, God. Like a year ago or 2 years ago, the Pope comes to Canada. And it was when the media decided to get us all to be upset about boarding schools all over again. And they came out with a story about how they found a mass grave of baby bones in the backyard of a boarding school in Canada. And so the Pope goes somewhere in Canada and they just treat him like royalty. And they give him a headdress and he's sitting there like an idiot. And he apologizes for the church's role in whatever he thinks harm he did to Indian people. I mean, it's just so stupid. And I got zero respect for that robed weirdo.
Not me, man. He's my father.
No, he's not. I also hate that. Why do these guys want us to call them father? Doesn't the Bible say call no one father except God? It's like the most basic thing they're doing wrong. Hey, Jim Dunn's here.
Oh, really? Hey, Jim, what's going on? Awesome to see you.
Jim says, hey, Emily, I thought you all from down south.
Oh, that's right. I just keep forgetting my southern drawl sometimes.
That's right. I keep forgetting you have one too.
Thank you for reminding me, Jim. It's the only way it distinguishes me from Natasha. Okay, let's just talk about it. Did you name Natasha after the girl you were talking about?
Yeah, I did. Natasha was from Bangladesh, and she was very dark-skinned. And she had an English accent because she grew up in England. But I don't know if she grew up in English. She spent a lot of time in English. She had a weird sort of cross between Apu from The Simpsons
Yeah.
and an English person. And she had a lisp. She kind of had when she said her S's, there was just a slight lisp.
That sounds ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but when you're in love, it was cute. And I was in love. She wasn't. But what was I going with that story?
The connection between that Natasha and the Natasha that's behind the thingy there.
Yeah. So, oh no, it was mostly because I wanted to make a music video out of the song I wrote and recorded called Natasha. And so I thought for the show, I can have NANABOOZHOO sing about Natasha. Maybe they wouldn't notice that one line. And then when we started doing new recordings, I changed the lyric to NANABOOZHOO loves Natasha. So it was kind of out of convenience. You know, I've only written 2 songs with girls' names.
What was the other girl's name?
That would be Emily.
Oh, really? That's fascinating. Is there an Emily in your past?
Nope, just in my present.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, Michael, what am I going to do? I don't know. I just don't know. Amaya says, we all have beautiful voices if we sing together or come together around the world as people. That is actually exactly... I could have said it better myself. That's perfect. There's something kind of magical and spiritual about singing in particular. I remember one of the first kind of strange crushes I had. Well, it was my first definite crush I had on a musician. When I was like, I think it was 5th grade. I don't even remember her name because she was meaningless to me in my life. I was a 5th grader. She was probably a 3rd grader. And we were doing a Christmas, what do they call that when you do Good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen. And you reenact like a, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Everybody dresses up like it's old England and they're on King Arthur or something. And it's called a thing. They do it at Christmas. Yeah, it was one of those. It was like a musical, a Christmas, whatever they call that. And I was in the choir with a bunch of kids, and I stood right next to this chubby girl who was a nerd, and I was a cool kid by 5th grade, who I never looked at twice, didn't even know her name. And I went to a small school. I should have known her name. Yeah. And we sang together, and when I noticed her singing, and she was a good singer, something clicked. And I was so attracted to her while she was singing. I never forgot it. And I never told her just how enamored I was during our Christmas, I wish I could remember what that was called, a pageant thing, as a 5th grader. But then as I grew older, I finally decided in my 40s, I think. When was the last time? It was 20 years ago. I was in a band with a girl singer. And I just I fall in love with female singers. And I can't be be friends with a female singer, even if she's in my band, because I'll always end up getting a crush on her. Yeah. And I don't know what it's like. Actually, it's weird because I can't be friends with women. I either fall in love with them or I don't have anything in common with them. Really? Yeah. But what about me? I'm in love with you. Oh, right. Amaya Jones, love in Cherokee is Ada Gayuda. Aya Gayud. Gayudi. Yudi. Do you guys pronounce your E's like Ojibways with A? Yudi, Gayudi, Da Gayudi, Ada Gayudi, Ada Gayudi. Oh, yeah, Gayudi. In Ojibwe, Michael, you pull it up? Sure. In Ojibwe, we say Gizagain. Gizagain, I love you. Gi means you. Our word for love is zugge. Zugge. Love as a concept, love as a verb is zugge. Love as a noun is zugge, edi win. And then there's een, which means me. So this kind of reads, you love me. But in Ojibwe, we always kind of put the person, In Ojibwe, we kind of speak like Yoda. Yeah, Ojibwe directly translated is really dumb. You kind of understand why in the old Western movies they would have Indians speak like, paleface, me, ride horse, go to, eat house. Yeah, that was sort of accurate. Yeah. I mean, can we all just finally agree that it was an improvement on our language to adopt the English language? Why do you say that? Well, before the blessings of the boarding schools, Dakota people and Ojibwe people could not communicate. English gave us all a common language.
Well, to be fair, didn't actually music begin our common language? And that's what was so big about the drum. Wait-a-hey-ya, wait-a-hey, wait-a. If we had a drum here, Michael, I would totally sit and pound on it like a dude.
Really? You would defy convention and tradition? They say women aren't supposed to ever sit at the drum. You have to stand behind us. It's a man's place to have a seat at the drum.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that.
I don't either. I'm not big on traditions.
Nah. Hoka hey! It's going to be really weird when we're at that conference.
Why?
Because I was thinking, like we were talking this morning about how, well, you were kind of saying more of it than I was. About our ancestors being such crappy parents. How they didn't, the history, the narrative, the story that we tell is that back in the days, the grandfathers, mean old racist government came into our loving communities and our loving homes with parents and grandparents and extended family, and we lived in harmony with nature. But then the racists came and ripped the children away and forced them into the boarding schools and forced them to speak English. They weren't allowed to speak Ojibwe. Yeah, no duh.
Don't swear on my show.
I won't swear. And by the way, it's our show, not my show.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, you ever hear of an immersion school? You go to an Ojibwe immersion school, they don't allow you to speak English. Boarding schools didn't allow you to keep speaking your Ojibwe or Dakota. They were trying to immerse you in English. And yeah, guess what? That was super tough. Elite. The people who actually graduated from boarding schools left with a pretty advanced education, college ready. They were, they had trades. Boarding school grads did well for themselves. But the one thing missing was the development of character. Yeah, you can blame the white people. Oh, they stole our culture. Well, problem is the generation before the boarding school survivors didn't do well by their children. They didn't protect them. And, school's only 12 years. The story is that was long enough for the children to forget Ojibwe and that their parents and grandparents didn't bother to learn English so they could communicate with their children. There was this generation, I read a book once about, what do they call it? Letters from boarding school. And how the letters were unread because they were written in English. Well, what's the matter with you guys? These are your children. You didn't bother to. So, crappy parenting. The family was destroyed with no resistance from the elders, from our ancestors. And then the boarding school survivors, went on to have dysfunctional families of their own and not pass on the culture, the language, values, nothing. They just became workers. They became regular automatons like every Joe Schmo on the street. Oh, our community. There's no community. And that's why, are you a member of the tribe? Are you enrolled in this, what do they call that? Dependent, ward of the government? Here's your little concentration camp. We call Indian Territory. You're allowed, you know. And they keep on making up more kind of victim narratives about our history. Never taking any responsibility. You know? It was us. We're not victims of the government. Got awfully quiet in here, old man.
I know. You're getting pretty intense there.
I know. What's wrong with me?
I don't know. It's getting late. Tired.
Ba-ding, ba-ding.
Oh, there's another call.
Oh, I wonder who that could be.
Oh, I'll check. Oh, it's nobody. I wanted to talk about 9/11.
Yeah, okay. Let's shift gears. I'm getting too crabby thinking about the ancestors again. Oh, honor the ancestors. Really? They didn't honor us. Oh, the ancestors always prepared for 7 generations in the future. Oh, that was my original point.
What?
We have to go to a conference in a few weeks. They invited us. They found out about our show. They invited us. Well, they invited you, but I'm coming along. To talk about Ojibwe language and culture, literature, your books. And, you know they're going to be expecting you to talk about, oh, it's so important to, you know, preserve our language, save our culture. And I'm going to get on there saying, oh, our ancestors are a bunch of tools. You know, I'm not mad at the white people. Yeah, sure, the colonizers were wankers. Or, the white people were wankers, but we were colonized by wankers. I don't hate the English. I hate the Ojibwe.
You're paraphrasing, what was that movie?
Train spotting.
Yeah.
That's the way the Scottish feel about the English. You're just colonized by them. But anyway, what are we talking about?
Well, the conference. Yeah. Are they going to expect me to sound like Tony Troyer and talk about how important it is to learn the language? And if you don't learn the language, you're not a real Indian?
Yeah. You're not a real Indian if you don't speak the language. What are you then?
I don't know. I think Tony would say you're a descendant of Indians rather than a real Indian.
A real Indian. Yeah, get on your spotted pony and ride in a loincloth. Go hunting for buffalo with a spear. That's a real Indian. Hiya, hi, how are ya? Anyway, so what's your theory on 9/11?
I think the band Supertramp had something to do with 9/11.
Supertramp? You mean, when I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, it was magical. Something or other. Yeah.
Why would you say such a thing?
Well, I'll show you. Here's my theory on... I don't think Supertramp, the band, had anything to do with... I don't know if planes actually flew into those buildings or if there were drones or what that was. But there was something weird going on with that album. Check this out, Emily. So, this is the album Breakfast in America. Everyone seen it? A million hits off it. Great band. And what is it?
It kind of looks like New York City.
Right. It looks like New York City and the Twin Towers from the, I think it was the 70s album. But you get closer and you realize, nope, it's breakfast stuff. There's a salt shaker and a glass of orange juice and a bunch of, Wisani Wigamig stuff, restaurant stuff. And she's a waitress. So it's a waitress, and she's posed like the Statue of Liberty. Because she's standing outside of New York. She's the Statue of Liberty waitress holding orange juice right in front of the Twin Towers. Now, if you flip this backwards, you'll notice that orange juice touches the numbers 9 and 11.
Oh, wow! It totally does.
Right? And 9/11 touch the Twin Towers. And I didn't notice this for 20 years, but it's not just her standing there. It's a picture from an airplane window.
Oh, wow, it totally is.
A picture is taken from one of the hijacked planes. It's breakfast in America. They did that at like 9 o'clock in the morning Central Time. It's probably 8 o'clock New York time, breakfast time. And it's a blue sky just like 9/11. So, my theory is Osama bin Laden was lead singer of Supertramp.
That's the only logical explanation. We finally got to the bottom of that.
Yep.
What about Tower 7?
Oh, the third building that dropped exactly like those first two that had planes fly into them. And if you ever see like a plane crash on like a landing pad, there's videos of it all over the place. In 2001, not many people had seen video of a plane crashing. But you realize just how flimsy planes are. They're made out of aluminum. And they blow up and disintegrate. If a plane slammed into a skyscraper, the cement skyscraper wouldn't just pulverize into dust. That has to be pulled.
Yeah, totally.
So the official story obviously isn't true. And the news and the mainstream narrative and most people who've been brainwashed or their brains have been, or they're asleep or whatever, they keep forgetting that Tower 7 went down too. Nobody we'll never forget was the slogan. And people immediately forgot that 3 buildings fell when 2 planes were hijacked in New York. And then a third plane flew impossibly into the Pentagon at the same time. And the 4th plane that was supposed to hit that Tower 7, I think, is the one that ended up in a field in Pennsylvania or something. And again, because it behaved like a real plane, when it hit the ground, it pulverized into dust when it exploded and left, just a charred remains and a bunch of rubble. If planes ran into buildings, they would either just bounce off or just blow up. It wouldn't have. And people that's either obvious, and it wasn't obvious to me at the time. I was, saddened by that day and was worried about stuff. But now, it's just like the moon landing. People are either awake, and they see the evidence when people challenge the official story and point out. I mean, you don't even have to have any special information. You can just question the mainstream narrative and go, that makes no sense. And, obviously 9/11 wasn't what they said. Bill Awus is here.
Awus! BOOZHOO, Bill! Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. We're going down the rabbit holes of conspiracy theories tonight. So what other conspiracy theories do you like?
I like The new one I never considered that I heard recently was that they got rid of Richard Nixon. That Richard Nixon was the most popular president in history. And that it was an inside job that the head of the CIA and the head of the whatever, it was like 3 guys who were in the government or whatever, concocted this whole thing to get him out of office. You know, he was an elected president who didn't fulfill his terms. And it was real sketchy what happened. You know, was he arrested for something? I couldn't tell you. I've seen movies on Watergate. I don't know what happened. But so there's, you know, speculation that that was a conspiracy. People conspired to get rid of him, and that the official story is a lie. And I think it might be connected to the moon landing.
Really?
Yeah. Same reason why they got rid of Kennedy. Right before Kennedy was shot, he did a famous speech that nobody wants to talk about. People will shut down the conversation when I bring it up, but everyone's heard the little clips from the speech where John F. Kennedy, it's a black and white video, he's saying, "We will go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because it is hard or because it is easy, but because it is hard." And it was also, the speech was about how secret societies should be, the very notion, the very word should be abhorrent to a free society, that we should be very against secret societies.
Really?
Yeah,
Secret societies like Freemasonry?
exactly. And, the mainstream media never talks about how everyone involved in the moon landings were Freemasons. They don't deny it. There's evidence for it. They wear the rings, and they're Freemasons. They're members of a secret society who claim they flew to the moon 6 times in 3 years. But I don't think John F. Kennedy knew that we couldn't go to the moon. But he was the president. He said, "We will do this thing." And NASA and the Freemasons went, "We got to shut up this guy. He's going to expose our whole secret lying thing we got going on here called NASA." And so they killed him. And then, his Ford becomes his vice president's president for the rest of that term. And I think Ford was Nixon's. Johnson came in after JFK, and nobody remembers him. And then Nixon came in. And Nixon ended the war in Vietnam. And also would have been in office during the last of the 6 manned missions to the moon before they never went back. I think they had to get rid of him because he was also... They claimed to have called Richard Nixon from the moon, and he talked to them on a landline.
That's so stupid.
So stupid now that we know nobody can go to the moon. But everyone believed it, and half the country still believes that they believe the video that they saw. I knew a guy who just wouldn't not believe it, because he's brainwashed, that people on the moon called the White House and they had a conversation back and forth. They somehow called Mission Control, and Mission Control patched it to the Oval Office, and they had a conversation. And there was no delay, and that's not how phones work. Idiots. But people don't want to believe that they were lied to. And so they can't give up the obvious fact that we were lied to about them going to the moon. I always suspected it, but then when I realized that the Earth wasn't a spinning ball in space circling a ball of fire 94 million miles away, and that the whole thing has always been a deception, and the secret societies are in on it. They know about it because it's part of Satanism. They've concocted a lie to the entire world. Oh, did the camera just shut off? I think it did. Is it because it got full, or because the battery's dead? Or because I forgot to turn it on?
No, it would have shut off earlier.
Yeah. We have a second camera here. We're going to take some clips from the show and,
Yeah, that's what we need. Clips from this show.
Yeah, me being crabby and talking about conspiracies. Hey, Brian's here.
Oh, no way! Brian Mader from Wisconsin. How you doing, E.G.? It's good to see you.
Cherokee word for alien in Yunwi Sunde, which means little people. Yeah, you guys might notice Steven. Here's my deal about space. I had such an interesting conversation yesterday with a 5th grader. Come on, Steven. I can't get him off his stick. I met a 5th grader yesterday who wanted to be an astronaut. And we didn't start talking about that. We started talking about baseball, and he's just a great kid. His dad was there. And he talked about wanting to be an astronaut. And then I think he just came right out and asked me if I believed we went to the moon. And I had to tell him, no, I don't believe that. And his dad kind of, looked at me kind of weird. But his dad was cool. And I had to start talking about, and then me and his dad started talking too, just about why I don't believe in the moon landing. And I brought up stuff like what I've just been talking about. And I asked him, I go, have you seen the footage in the last 20 years? Because that's the other thing. Everybody remembers seeing it when they were a kid, and they've always believed it, and they have no reason to think that the government would lie about it, And they've all been, just like I was, indoctrinated to really trust people involved in the sciences. They don't think of NASA and scientists being part of the government, but there's no such thing as a scientist that isn't funded by the government. They all run on grants from colleges, which are government funded. So there's a whole paradigm worldview that changes. But then that led into me just talking about my view of the world. And I started out saying, well, I have a biblical worldview. I believe in the firmament. I believe there's a dome over and then the kid goes, do you think the earth is flat? And I went, yes, I believe the earth is flat. The dad laughed out loud. They both laughed. And I said, yeah, that's what people do. They usually laugh at you when you say that. And I had to say, I go, it was about 6 years ago that I stopped. I go, I didn't always not believe the earth was a spinning ball. I used to really be into space. I'm a total Trekkie. I didn't just want to be an astronaut. I wanted to go with the aliens. So this is Steven. Steven's a gray alien. And I grew up totally fascinated, a little scared. I've seen every movie about gray aliens and alien abductions they ever made. And I've drawn them. He's on the cover of a number of my books. My first Ojibwe language coloring book has a picture of an alien on the cover.
What does an alien have to do with Ojibwe?
Nothing, but I had so many cartoons of aliens, I figured, well, I might as well put Steven on there. So I loved space and was fascinated, and I had no reason not to believe. I had reason not to believe in the moon landing, but I believed in aliens. I still believe in aliens. I just think they're demons. And UFOs, just because there's a spinning flying saucer doesn't mean It flew here from light years away, from places nobody could possibly know, and things science couldn't possibly know about. That's just it. Nobody ever just kind of challenged. We're just brainwashed our whole lives in science classes and math classes to just not question the guys who are making these claims. They just tell them they were geniuses and so wonderful. Well, he's the one who came up with the theory of gravity. So what? That's a dumb idea. Because they always ask you that too. Well, if you don't believe in the earth is round, then how do you, or if you don't believe in gravity? What? No, I don't believe in gravity. It's just a theory. There's no scientific evidence for a magical force which pulls stuff down. He goes, well, how do you explain this? And he did the old dropping a pencil. And I go, that's buoyancy and weight, density. Just like in water, some stuff will drop, a rock will drop, some stuff will float up, bubbles, boats, whatever. Anything that's denser than air and heavier than air will drop. Anything that's lighter than air, like bubbles, helium, clouds, float. I understand the physics behind birds much better when you think of them as swimming through the air rather than, pushing, whatever. Airplanes, it takes very little effort to swim through air if you're buoyant, if you can float on it, But we ended up talking for an hour and a half, and this kid, he was only in 5th grade, but he asked all the right questions. He was fearless. He didn't mock anything, and he wasn't married to his ideas. And I told him I had those same ideas, just like everybody else. I went to school, and I believed in the Big Bang, and evolution and everything. And now I don't believe in any of that stuff, because I don't believe in outer space. And I also just don't believe in other guys' theories. It's still the theory of evolution. We're taught that it's settled science. No, it's not. Settled science is science that had an experiment, where you had a hypothesis and you did an experiment and then the thing happened. It's settled science like at what temperature ice freezes. But the distance that the sun is away from us is not settled science. They just set it, and they expect us to not question it. So I was telling this kid, and he seemed to really appreciate everything and he understood it. When I described the flat earth model, we had a round table and everything, and I talked about the North Pole pointing at the North Star, and how all the stars rotate around it. That's what we see. That's what we can predict every year. Everything we see is what it is, not what science says. We can see the sun, we can feel the heat. I don't know how far away it is, but it's just as far away as the moon. And it's the same size. That's why the eclipse works that way. It all makes sense after you kind of wake up and go, oh, okay, throw out this whole idea that we're on a speck of dust in infinite outer space. What if we are in a snow globe underwater, like the Bible says? Even Christians who say they believe in the Bible don't really believe in the firmament. They'll go so far to say, oh, I don't believe in evolution. But, I see more NASA t-shirts in church. They should really bring back, you should really dress up for church, kids. Don't be wearing your NASA t-shirts. But, I don't know. Bill, put the blinders on and stay in your own lane. Anyway, watching from Box Elder, Montana. BOOZHOO, Bill. BOOZHOO, Bill. Put the blinders on. Do you ever watch or listen to any Art Bell? No, but people I respect always talk about Art Bell. I think he had a radio show and talked a lot about alien encounters and abductions and stuff like that. I think he was a real truth seeker, is the impression I get. They say some are jinns. Yeah, I've heard that too. Jinns, because some jinns can fly too. Yeah, I think all like jinns, gray aliens, Wendigo, probably Bigfoot. I hate to say it.
No, not Bigfoot.
What?
Are you gonna say Bigfoot's a fallen angel or a demon?
I don't know. Probably.
Why would you say that? Bigfoot's our brother.
Well, I don't know. He does some pretty crazy supernatural things like disappearing. You know. And there's a lot of connections between aliens and Bigfoot. And if he was just another type of primate, a rare primate with what looks like human consciousness walking around, Bigfoot could be a psyop too.
What do you mean?
Like a psychological operation. Maybe Bigfoot is fake and all the stories are fake, but not by people who want attention, but by the government or by secret societies who want to perpetuate an idea that we evolved. And so like Bigfoot is maybe trying to put in our consciousness that maybe he's half man, half ape.
Yeah.
Because it is weird. There's so much evidence, video evidence, just like aliens, at least UFOs and stuff, that you can't deny that people are seeing stuff. And just like ghosts, or what I call demonic encounters. I've now come to a point where I think it's pretty stupid to be playing around with spirits in the traditional Indian way.
The Medewi win?
Yeah, I think it's pretty stupid to go on Medewi win stuff.
You're gonna offend a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I just had the Pope on in a headdress, so I'm getting both sides.
Go on.
Yeah, when you go on a shaking tent ceremony and you're conjuring of spirits, what do you guys think that is? Do you think they're angels? Do you think they're your dead relatives coming back to say hello? What do you think the spirit world is? Just roaming around the reservation waiting for fat Medewiwin medicine men to call them into their stupid ceremony? What you're doing is the same thing as playing with a Ouija board, and you're inviting spirits into this realm. Cut that shit out
And quit bringing your children to it. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Don't play with Ouija boards, kids, and don't go to the Medewiwin shaking tent ceremonies. I think most sweat lodge ceremonies are probably harmless. I've never seen any spiritual activity in a sweat lodge. I think most of the people who are in there are probably closeted Christians playing Medewiwin, but they don't really believe. But I think the Medewiwin shaking tent people, same thing with,
You're just going scorched earth with traditional people tonight too, aren't you?
yeah, I think so. Same thing with sundancers. You guys are playing with the spirits, eagle whistles. I can't believe that is anything except demonic activity. So in our language, we call that Manji Manaduk. Manji Manaduk.
Munji Monaduk. Today's Ojibwe word of the day. Munji Monaduk. Evil spirit.
Yeah. If you believe in spirits, if you don't believe in spirits, then why are you even playing around with medicine? But if you do believe in the I mean, I call it the red road. To me, I use the red road as being synonymous with what Christians would call, not Christians, but what followers of Jesus would call the way. The red road, the way, the light side of the force, they're all the same thing. But Medewiwin people, traditional Indian practicers of the red road, what we call the Miskwa Mikana, if you're doing that stuff, just beware. And I'm not saying, even talking to the elders or the adults, I don't care what you guys do, but children, little kids, take it from me and Emily. It might even be your grandpa or grandma who you love so much. But if they're talking to spirits, tell them to cut it out. And tell them to pray to Jesus for forgiveness. Because they might have some bad spirits.
You know what that makes me think of?
What's that?
You know how people are always saying alcohol is a spirit? And when you become an alcoholic, that monkey on your back is a manji manaduk. It's an evil spirit. And that's why you go to a sweat, to get rid of the bad spirits. They never say you might be inheriting some bad spirits at that very sweat lodge. But also, it's yeah, it is it's literally, you can tell a person's got a bad spirit, meaning an evil, demonic spirit in their body. If they're an alcoholic, a drug addict, anything evil. And you see it in their faces. They look like zombies. They walk around like a zombie in a movie. You can see people's bad behavior, the demons. It's written all over their face.
Yeah, this is gross, and I don't like to talk about this because I know kids watch. But there's a man that some boomers are going to know. His name was John Holmes, and he made movies. And I saw a picture of him later in life, and it was just like he said. His face was that of a zombie, and his eyes were bugged out, and he looked like a zombie. And you kind of go, yep, that's what a life of his kind of behavior leaves you. I always kind of appreciate, I didn't always, but now I really appreciate the character Ned Flanders on The Simpsons.
Ned? Yeah, why?
Ned Flanders is like the dorky Baptist neighbor. And after many years, you find out he takes off his sweater and he's cut. And he's like way older than Homer. And Homer is bald and fat and all this stuff. But Ned has lived such a pure life that he looks great. And I think that's not just not being an alcoholic and not smoking cigarettes and stuff. But I think if you do walk the red road or you follow the way and you avoid demonic activity and you don't inherit demons like alcoholism, lust, greed, narcissism, those are all just demonic entities in your body. That you actually become beautiful and you stay young looking much longer. That's why Hollywood is so obsessed with trying to hide how awful they look, because I think in real life they look even older. Like Madonna, she gets all that plastic surgery and stuff because if she had never gotten that, she wouldn't look just like a normal woman her age who wasn't fat or anything. She would look like a zombie because she's lived such a sinful life.
You're absolutely right.
I love it when you agree with me.
Well, that's the thing. I always agree with you. Everything you say just seems... I'd like to argue the point, but that's exactly what I was thinking.
It's so weird. We're of the same mind. It's almost like
You finish my
sentences.
sometimes.
It's really weird. Cherokee word for spirit is ane lanve. I'm really bad at pronouncing words.
I'm kind of a bad reader, too.
Good and bad jinns, but how do you know ones you ask are good or bad? That's the trick. I assume they're all bad. What's a good spirit? I mean, I believe in angels, I guess. For sure, I believe in angels. I don't necessarily believe I have angels around me or anything like that. I don't necessarily believe I've ever met an angel. But I don't believe I don't know an angel and don't believe I don't have angelic protection. But those would be good spirits. But I can't imagine an angel being any... Here's my theory. I think there are angels and vampires. Angels and demons. And I think there are people who are like angels who don't have any demons in them. And we all know them. They're just the most wonderful people you've ever met. They're the most selfless, loving people. They usually, like, they adopt 30 kids and, you know, they do for others, and they're humble and modest, and they usually love God. And you can tell a person who is kind of angelic, you know.
She's a perfect angel.
Yeah. But then you can kind of tell people who are demonic. And we're losing our ability to discern demons from angels. But angels are beautiful, and like symbolically, an angel has enormous wings and they're bright, glowing. When an angel flies, one flip of his wings, and he's 100 feet in the air. Vampires have to transform into little bats, and their wings are like little gross leathery things, and they fly just crappy. Bats are really bad flyers. They can't see. They have no vision. They live in the dark. And like Hollywood and pop culture and Halloween, demonic people have celebrated vampires. And I used to celebrate vampires too. You know, I was raised to love vampires. I didn't see them. I knew they were supposed to be villains, but I thought they were cool. But now I see them as like, no, that's the embodiment of demons. And so people are drawn towards the demonic, to vampires. And we're living in a world where you're either with the vampires sucking on people's blood. You can't die. You're forever youthful, but you're like addicted to the life forces of other people. Vampires are very narcissistic. They only care about themselves. They're the center of the world. They kill others to sustain themselves. But angels serve everybody else, and they're so angelic and glorious. You know, they're humble because in comparison, and that's why demonic people hate angelic people, because in comparison, one's ugly and hates the sun, and one is as bright as the sun and beautiful.
Which do you want to be, kids? You want to be the angel or you want to be the vampire? I think you're an angel.
Shut up.
All right, let's call it a night.
Okay.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Let's put that in a good spot. Thank you so much for watching the world's worst ventriloquist, Michael Lyons, and me, Emily Aubrey. And I will see you again. We'll be back probably not tomorrow morning. Maybe tomorrow night. Michael, can you find the how to say I will see you again?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's right here.
Giggle off and bin. Me no wa. I will see you again. Oh.
All right. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, I think so.
Once again, this is Wake and Bake.
Oh, all right.
But it's got nothing to do with you. I've got no one, still you won't do. And after today I'd say we are quite through. But I know you won't break down and you won't miss a step. You won't be around and you'll never forget it. But one day, when I'm old and gray, I might look back and say that these were the golden days. And one day, when I'm old and I'm gray, I could look back and say this was the price I paid. So it goes, or so they say. Time's like a mountainscape, and I don't know, but I can't complain. God knows I've got my own escape, and sometimes I just might, even in the middle of the night. Sometimes, someday, sometimes, well, I wake and bake. But it's got nothing to do with you. I've got no one, still you won't do. And after today I'd say we are quite through. But I know you won't break down and you won't miss a step. You won't be around and you'll never forget it. One day, when I'm old and gray, I might look back and say that these were the golden days. And one day, when I'm old and I'm gray, I could look back and say this was the price I paid. Even in the middle of the day, it even grins a little, so they say. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes, well, I wake and bake.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Michael Lyons.
All right, let's call that good.
Thank you so much for listening.